In today's latest news, we announced the signing of Malo Gusto, who was officially presented today before he heads back on loan to end the season with Lyon. And of course, naturally, we end things by discussing the massive reports around Enzo Fernandez, because it seems like we are coming now to make our final offer to try and sign him, and it seems like this will be an absolutely unreal offer to make. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that like button. Let's get over 2k likes, and also hit that like button for good luck, because right now we need all the luck and divine inspiration we can possibly get right now to hopefully end this window on a banger by signing Enzo Fernandez. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Before we get into things, let me get one big plug out of the way first. Today's video is brought to you by friends of the channel in OneFootball. The window ends in literally a handful of days right now, you guys, but it seems like for us, the window could end on an absolute high and an absolute banger. Download OneFootball today to stay up to date to all the latest news happening around January deadline day. Get ready for that, you guys. And of course, with OneFootball, you get access to all the latest reports coming from Europe as well too, as you guys can see. Malo Gusto completing this move, Enzo Fernandez updates, plus a lot more, my friends. I mean, there's so many handy features and useful things that you can obviously find yourself using on OneFootball. So if you guys want to help support the channel and of course help yourselves out as well, download OneFootball. You'll find a link below in the description and in the QR code on screen too. So let's start with things. Let's discuss our new signing in Malo Gusto, who was presented today at Cobham. He completed his medical last night, and today he agreed to sign a contract that takes his time here to 2030. So that's 7 years, and that's around 7 years he will be competing, hopefully, alongside of Reece James. Now, there have been a lot of naysayers questioning the intellect of Gusto. I mean, why would he want to sign for us when we have Reece James in front of him? But I'm sorry, I feel like there's going to be plenty of minutes in game time for both Gusto and Reece James to get minutes. And there's going to be game time where both players will play in the same teams together. So I just think that for us, with modern day football demands right now, you need a perfect squad. Maybe back in the day, like your B tier players don't have to be as good as your first team players, but these days, due to the intensity, due to the amounts of sprints being undertaken in games now, it's ridiculous. The kilometers are the same, but the intensity behind those kilometers are absolutely high right now. One of the most intense positions in the game currently is playing as a wing back or a fullback, because you're playing box to box. You're going up the field, you're running back, tons of sprints. You have to be supportive in the play, you have to be supportive in the build up. You're doing so much right now. So not only do you have to be like an exceptional talent to be able to play as a fullback or wing back for a big team, but only having one of those guys isn't enough. You need to have at least two right now. And I do think that in that sense, maybe the comparisons are very generalized and very lazy. I'll hold my hands up, but I'm getting like Maicon and Dani Alves vibes in the sense of like the quality of what these guys are bringing, in the sense of that they're both excellent young players, that both bring different things, both have different attributes and threats they can add to the team, and they can also complement each other in terms of being competitive and, spurring each other on in the squad. So I'm more than happy with this. Of course, Gusto seems very happy, and it's always nice to hear that players are really excited to want to sign for us. And as Gusto himself said, of course, London is a great city, it's a great football club, and of course the project is an amazing one, and honestly it really is. I can't remember the last time in my life I've seen a football club really commit to signing young players under a certain age, and to sign so many of them to rebuild and regrow an entire team and squad as well too. It is really exciting, and I can't imagine most players not wanting to be part of this right now. This is like untold times. I mean, I'm seeing guys like flipping João Felix, I got Nkunku coming, Mudryk, skillful, talented players that have that bit of flair and X factor to their game. Like, I don't normally see players like this at my football club. We have seen a few of them in guys like Eden Hazard, for example, but they've been like rare examples. And the fact that we've signed an abundance of talent like this, I mean, comparing January business to summer business was something I was not prepared for, to be honest with you. I thought maybe in January we might get like maybe 1, 2, 3 players max, and then do most of the business in the summer. So the level up is absolutely unreal. And Malo Gusto adds to that. I mean, this is a guy with great pace. This is a guy effective in all phases down that right hand side. Very good as an outlet to help you in the build up. Very good at taking his man on. Very comfortable playing with both feet. Very comfortable driving forward. Press resistance as well too, plus quality in the final third. He's got 4 assists so far in Liga, and after making his breakthrough last season at Lyon, there's a lot more to come from Gusto, and I really feel like he's coming at the perfect time. To think that him and Nkunku are going to be adding to the squad is it's just like fantasy football right now. So, of course, I'm clearly excited. How are you guys feeling about this news? How well do you think Gusto is going to do? Let us know. And right now, let's end things by discussing one of the breaking stories today. And we discuss Enzo Fernandez. And is this deal going to happen? Now, I've been saying this in the past few videos, but the fact that Arsenal seem very confident that they have an opportunity to sign Gusto, it instantly tells me that they feel that they're sensing an opportunity to take advantage because they know our attention is elsewhere. And I think we all kind of know where our attention has been since before this window even opened up. And that has been with Enzo Fernandez. Now, one thing we are seeing under Todd Bowley, like no matter how many reports have been coming out, and they have been accurate to put it out there, of looking at alternative options and other players like that, naturally you need to look at contingency plans, you need to have backups in case. But we've seen under this ownership, they spend the most time going for their first options and their second ones, and ideally they don't want to buy any backups. And that's what we've seen with the quality of the business we've been doing during this window so far. And the final piece now is signing an Enzo Fernandez. So I guess right now let's discuss the reports coming out from Portugal, and we start with records. Now currently Record are reporting that Benfica are trying to persuade Enzo to sign a new contract. With this new contract extension, it's going to have a greater release clause. Currently his release clause is 120 million euros. This would be around 150 million euros, around 132 million pounds, which is obscene money. But I guess to make it a bit easier for an Enzo to accept those demands, he would be signing like a loyalty bonus instantly, where you'd earn like maybe 2 to 3 million straight away after signing the deal. So I guess it's a fair offer to make. But is this necessarily the best one for Enzo? I mean, let's be serious. If he was to sign for us, you're earning a lot more than an extra 2 million to stay for a few more months. And when there's an opportunity to do big things right now, playing with top players, it's quite obvious that the project that we first presented to Enzo Fernandez, it wasn't all talk. There have been actions behind this, and we're seeing the results now. We're seeing the reality of, what this ambition is. Look at the players we've signed. I mean, Mudryk, Felix, the guys who are soon to come as well too. Everything the board has been saying, they're making happen. So if you're Enzo Fernandez, how can you not join the party right now? How can you not be that midfield player, be the brain that this team is going to need, that can take this team to the next level? So I'm saying I'm going to be incredibly surprised if Enzo Fernandez did agree to sign in a contract extension, because who are these clubs in the market? Who is this potential competition that can come anywhere near close to paying that amount of money? Even Jude Bellingham won't come anywhere near that amount, and at least with Dortmund, they are a bit more flexible in terms of how they allow their players to be sold and the structure behind these deals. So I feel like Enzo Fernandez could be signing a contract for life, where his soul's been taken away, and he'll get nothing for it in the end because Barca don't have that money. Real Madrid do, but they can only sign one big star for that type of money, and it seems like Mbappe and Bellingham are more of interest. And if you're like Man City, maybe, but then you have to reinvest in your team now, because it's quite obvious that maybe a few of these guys have to be moved on and be replenished. So your options aren't really there. But out of all the clubs, the best one right now is to become the brain of our midfield by being involved in our project. I think that is the most common sense thing. So I guess right now there is some hope about something happening behind the scenes, and hopefully with the deal being on the horizon, because a report did come out from a very notable Portuguese journalist where he is reporting that an official offer is definitely coming within the final moments of the window to try and sign Enzo Fernandez. Now there's been some confusion. Let's just literally break down the timeline behind what the story has been for Enzo Fernandez. So we do know that before the window opens, we were holding talks, and at the time we've only made one official offer. That offer was around like 70 to 75 million pounds plus Ziyech and loan players including Andre Santos and David Fofana. That was rejected. In that meantime, there have been discussions of informal talks. Dialogue is still open, but there hasn't technically been an official second bid, and that is something we have been waiting for. Now, in past stories I've been covering, I have discussed that informal things and talks have been happening behind the scenes. I think even Fabrizio Romano commented on that fact as well too, that last week there were more informal talks, but that final offer had not been presented right now. And can something happen? Because The report from this Portuguese journalist states that we are ready now to make a €100 million bid plus a player exchange deal, but this time of the player exchange, Benfica can pick the players that they want to have. So I'm quite curious who that could really be. I mean, in terms of the finances of this deal, I mean, Enzo's release clause is €120 million, €100 million, that's like a 20 million difference. And I feel like most of the players we have in the squad right now, their value is worth more than €20 million. But realistically, top of my head, I couldn't really guess who Benfica would want. It won't be anything silly like, give us Kante or Kovacic or, Silva or something like that. Of course, I'm not going to ask for that. But I'm curious because it would have to be like mutually beneficial for Benfica, because at the end of the day, they're a selling club. So if they want to sign one of our talents, they're signing them knowing that, okay, we can flip them on and then earn more money in the future from their sales. So I can see it working on that hand, but I can't really guess what players that Benfica would really be interested in signing that would possibly make this deal go over the line. So I guess all we can do right now is hope, but there are some things that make things a bit more hopeful. For example, there isn't like full unity with the Benfica board right now that, okay, we're all behind the fact that Enzo is not leaving. It does seem like some of them are enamored by the offers that they're getting for Enzo, because realistically, they can never get offers this big for the player in the future. Not at all. And it's just like you could substantially reinvest back into the team. Their window ends like 2 days after our window ends in this country, so there's time to, of course, reinvest back into the team. And I just think that, it's very easy for Rui Costa to be like, okay, we're rejecting all offers outright because we have ambitions to try and win the league this season and, of course, we win in the Champions League. But then this could be like the ultimate amount of money you would ever receive for an Enzo Fernandez on this existing current contract. And even if they kept him, would they necessarily be the real winners if, in the end, he leaves for peanuts and they don't really progress or improve as a football club? I mean, I'm not too sure. We have to also remember that Benfica would earn around nearly 75% of any transfer sale around Enzo Fernandez, because Enzo owns some percentages in any future sale, as well as River Plate, plus as many other existing clauses as well. So even if they receive around €100 million, they'll only be getting around €75 million, which isn't the greatest offer. So could a player exchange be the difference maker now to make Benfica reconsider? Because again, if they were to agree to sign a player that has decent market value and that potential to earn more in the future, that could be a great way to offset the €20 million, which we need to do to still stay within FFP restrictions. Still though, to end things, I'm feeling quietly optimistic. On one hand, I've always felt like we'd have to rely upon certain sacrifices. Of course, to stay within FFP laws, that is important, and to add more flexibility in terms of signings we can make. I think sales are important, but I think the best sales would actually come from problem stars, as we've seen. Of course, these guys have basically, no player cost whatsoever because we produce them for free. It would literally be like pure profit that you're adding to the team. And with FFP, you deduct those transfer sales from your FFP values, and that's how you stay within those restrictions. So I'll look at someone like a Conor Gallagher, for example. We know that Palace, Newcastle, and many clubs are looking at him. On one hand, I would be disappointed that he was to go, because I feel like there's more to come from Conor. He's showing a bit more right now. But at the same time, I understand there's a greater goal ahead of us, and sometimes certain sacrifices are needed. And if a Gallagher sale meant that we had the funds then to really just pay this money for Enzo Fernandez, this is a move that improves the team and takes us to the next level. Well, on one hand, if I'm being cynical, we have a lot of box-to-box mids. We have great young talents behind us. So maybe selling Gallagher now for peak value could be the best thing to do. But that's just like a way I'm trying to see things. Maybe Gallagher, maybe Breuer, who knows? But it does seem like for me, a Breuer and a Gallagher are like the two most notable ones that could earn us a ton of money from their sales. But still, at the same time, I do think that we've had a plan when it comes to trying to force a move to sign Enzo Fernandez. Of course, we presented an offer right at the start. He was the first player we made a move for that was rejected. But it makes no sense to spend the remainder of this window, making offer after offer after offer, because that could encourage Benfica to just reject you and ignore you. We've already acknowledged the fact that Enzo wants to sign for us, and he's already put pressure on the Benfica board to sell. We have guys like Mendes working behind the scenes, of course, to help push us to getting the player we want. And it feels like the strategy of making a bid keep that interest very public and, very private too, with conversations with Benfica and the board before ending the month by making one final massive offer. This offer would be too big for Benfica to quickly reject things and say no to a deal. They'd have to really consider things, and knowing that time is not on their side and there's pressure to sell, maybe this is the strategy that hopefully leads towards us winning the race to sign an Enzo Fernandez. So right now, there's a lot of pressure now on Rui Costa. Yeah, he might keep the player, but does that necessarily help Benfica out in the long term? For example, let's say you get knocked out in the next round of the Champions League, and if you miss out on winning the league, this will be something that is used against you, and this could have been an amazing opportunity to cash in on a player for maximum premium value, and then you have over 100 million to spend on building a super team to dominate Portuguese football. It's not as easy to reject as press would have you think. So you guys, on that note, that is the end for today's news. Today, there could be a Malo Gusto reaction video coming out today, but I do have plans. So let's see what happens this evening. But hopefully I can obviously come back in some capacity. So my friends, I'm the EFC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.